Hey everybody, welcome. Today we're going to look at the journey of building this garden bed. It's easy to build garden bed. It's a technique I'm using in most of my garden, and it's already flourishing with vegetables. It was built several weeks back, so let's rewind the tape and look at this fun journey of building this garden bed. So here we go. The size of the bed is a 14-foot long and a 5-foot wide bed. I find that a 5-foot wide bed is a perfect amount where you can reach to the center pretty easily from both sides. Right here I'm rolling a weed barrier tarp. This kind of weed barrier lets moisture go through the ground, but supposedly not the weeds through the ground. I'm not stapling it into the ground. We have a very rocky ground, so sometimes it's a bit hard to find the right spot. And so I'm using weed barrier staples that are the nail type. They're with 1 point, not with the 2 points, so it's easier. Rolling the polyester weed barrier, which is a bit more heavy duty, and I find that it really does stop the weeds to go through. Later on we'll cover it with wood chips. This is me marking my angles. This particular bed has a bit of an angle to it, so just marking and cutting in angles. Here I'm rolling down the hardware cloth. I find it to be the best material to block out old gophers. If you use chicken wire with bigger faces, our gophers around here, they can get through it. So this is a 6-foot wide hardware cloth, which leaves 6 inches on both sides of each bed to be folded up and stapled later on. Right here, I'm cutting little spacer about 1/8 of an inch to put on the first layer of lumber, and then put the second layer of lumber on top of that. It gives it that extra space. As you can see, I'm placing those wood chips on the first layer. And then as I put the second layer of lumber on it and get everything into place by screwing everything into place, then I'll take it out. It gives it that little 1/8 of an inch spacing where air can flow in, water can flow out, and wiggle room as the lumber expands and contracts through the different seasons. Now I'm just screwing everything back into place. After using these beds for many years, you realize it really doesn't have to be perfect. As the winter and different seasons let it expand and contract, the lumber usually gets a little bit misplaced, but as long as it holds together enough to keep the soil in there for as many years as possible, then that's really all you're shooting for. Where I'm here, I'm cutting the hardware cloth. Try to keep about 4 or 5 inches just so it can staple back on itself. Here I'm using an old stake wood that I'm using to essentially staple both layers of the lumber together. Right now they're just sitting on top of each other with those spacers, but with this I am going to connect them and hold on to that space we created with the spacers. And as the last part of the bed build out is to cut the hardware cloth and staple it all around the bed. The hardware cloth can be a little bit of a hard material to work with, but you got to staple it with a little bit more force. And that's it. After that, we'll use soil from a different location in our property. We'll build the irrigation lines on top, amend it, and it'll be ready to go. With it.